Hey y'all, good to see you. Great job last week with the performances. We're just gonna keep it going. We got another one this week. And this video is we're gonna have a couple of videos this week, but this one's specifically about BlackHole and also specifically about audio routing. So what do I mean by audio routing? In my sound on my computer, I have my input. You can hear me talking in this tutorial. It's the MacBook Pro microphone. And the output is the MacBook Pro speakers. If I put some Bluetooth headphones on, it would pop up as one of my outputs, and the output of any computer sound made on my desktop or by any of my programs is not any, but most of the programs would go out to my Bluetooth headphones. Um, so what we want to play with is just play with that, the ins and outs of audio on our computer. For example, on Zoom, like if we're doing like a Zoom type performance, and that's what we'll do for the first section of these classes. As we get into other things like Twitch and all that, this will still make sense. But in the same way we had the virtual camera last week, we can choose our input of our microphone. Um, and the problem is, like, what if the sound I wanted to play out as my microphone was actually like Ableton or Maximus P or I played a video, and like I know we have the share screen like and all that, like we can share computer audio, but we want more control where it's like just whatever is playing out of our thing is we don't want to have to open a thing up and like ask for permission and stuff in the same way that like we just have control over this visual box and we want to put stuff in there. I want to have control over what my microphone is and what audio goes in there, not just my voice. And what we need for that is a virtual audio router. um, and all that is it's almost like we have a soundboard or a mixing board, and the final output of it goes to Zoom or goes to something else, and we can decide like, oh, I'm going to take it from this guitar and make sure it goes to this output. Rather than doing a physical version of that, we're doing a virtual version of that. We're creating like fake audio pathways to say send a sound from Chrome to the Zoom meeting. And that's what this is going to allow us to do. So the tool we're using for that is an open source tool called BlackHole. If you just look up BlackHole, this is Apple only, unfortunately. But it should be one just like virtual audio driver BlackHole. And you can go to download installer. And of course, in this moment, my Chrome decides that it's going to sluggishly try and get through this. So I guess I could always talk just to keep you interested, keep you entertained. Um, I've been really loving cooking lately. I got a one of those what you call immersion blenders. I've been making like carrot ginger soup. It's just so good. I Cooking has like really helped me out during this pandemic. It's just so much good food that you can make. Like you save money, you eat healthier, you have like activities. Okay, here we go. So like it says here, subscribe for free Mac download. Windows is going to tell you they're working on it, I think. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all the stuff about how to I'm kind of surprised what's going on with this Chrome tab. It's kind of crazy. I'm not going to go into the downloading because I already have it installed. Once you have it installed, it's not a software that exists on your computer. Like it's not something you open. You don't open BlackHole. It just exists now. Man, thanks for nothing, Chrome. And an example of that is if I look at my input and output now, you see that I can choose BlackHole 2-channel as my output or as my input. This is a little confusing. It's not a specific input, it's not a specific output. It's both. We're going to use both elements of it. We're going to choose something as our input into BlackHole, and then that will come as the output. There's an example of that. If I did my computer sound output to bleed BlackHole, that means that you would not hear anything I'm saying anymore. I'm also worried now that in this recording, maybe I've like taken it away from like where it's going to the QuickTime recording. We'll see what happens when I look back over this. But as you can see with the, where was I going with this? Now if I like played something like on iTunes or Chrome or whatever, rather than going to my MacBook Pro speakers, it goes to BlackHole. And here I would select my microphone as BlackHole. So the sound that's going into BlackHole is now coming out of BlackHole into this Zoom meeting. And like I wish there was like a little visual thing, but like it's basically like all computer audio now funnels into here because all computer audio is funneled into BlackHole and then output to BlackHole. And that's what the virtual audio routing is. The one drawback is that we can't hear the audio anymore. It's going to just the BlackHole thing, which exists in the ether somewhere, but it's not going out of our speakers anymore. And we'll cover that in just a second. Another example of where you would use this is something like Ableton. There are certain softwares where you have more control over where the audio is coming out. Ableton, like GarageBand's another one. You can go into the preferences and set specifically where you want it to all go. So you could say from Ableton to BlackHole and BlackHole into the Zoom meeting. So that's an example. All that being said, the other thing we can do is we can make aggregate devices. So if I type in audio MIDI setup, yep, and I hit enter, these are all the audio devices on my computer. And right now you can see there's BlackHole, microphone, MacBook Pro speakers. I can make stuff that is helpful for this. So an example of this is like, what if I wanted audio on my computer to go to both the speakers in my computer and to go to BlackHole, so I can route it somewhere else. So I can have both of those. I can hear what I'm doing or like playing on my computer and it's sending somewhere. I can go to plus and I can say create multi-output device. And I can select both BlackHole and MacBook Pro speakers right there. I think I can. I've done some weird things. If you get like some weird sounds, this drift correction has kind of helped before. I usually leave them off, I think. But if it gets really crunchy sounding, come back here and try turning it on and see what happens. I'm also going to rename this. I just right clicked on it. Oh, can I rename it? Yeah, I just double clicked on it. And I'll say MacBook speaker plus BlackHole. And that's it. So now, rather than choosing BlackHole as my microphone input, and I actually think what happened is oh wait, let's see. Oh, that's right. So what I need is over here on the output is the multi-output device. And I think if I close this and reopen it, let's see, it'll rename itself. System preferences, sound. Yep, MacBook speakers plus BlackHole. So now anything on my computer plays on my speakers, I can hear it, and it also goes to BlackHole, so I can do something with it a little later. Over on here, I can say create aggregate device. I want the other thing. What if I wanted, what if I'm on this Zoom call and I'm doing a performance or something and I want to play background music, but I also want you to hear my voice. If I did BlackHole, it would just cut out my microphone. So I'm going to create something where, like the multi-output device, it's a multi-input device. In this case, it's called an aggregate device. So we'll make something that's both BlackHole and will be our microphone. I'll say BlackHole and MacBook microphone. And I'll turn off the drift correction again, just double checking that. And I'll rename this microphone plus BlackHole. Ooh, damn. Microphone. So in this case, like you wouldn't want to. Ooh, really just not on firing on all cylinders. Um, you would only want to use this one if you wanted to make sure your microphone was a part of it. You might not want it to for various reasons. You might just want whatever audio is coming out to be a part of your performance. So then in here, I can choose microphone plus BlackHole. And now, not only am I hearing it, I mean, you might get a little feedback because your microphone's picking up whatever your speakers are playing. So be careful there. You know, you have to think about it. It's a lot to hold on to in your head, but just think about the pathway of all this stuff. If it helps, write down like just a quick visual sketch of where everything is going, and you might see where mistakes are made. But this is basically all there is to it. This is a way to funnel sounds from your entire computer environment into Zoom or into any other thing that takes an audio input. The last thing, this is really important, is you can see I have this thing called turn on original sound. Zoom does all sorts of weird stuff to audio. You might have noticed, like, some of you, I've been on calls before where like someone's asking like, hey, this is back in the summer, I have my air conditioner on. Can you hear it? Is that annoying? And you're like, no, I don't hear the air conditioner. The reason for that is if I go to Zoom preferences and go to audio, you can see there's something called suppress background noise. And Zoom does a lot of processing on your audio. Zoom is meant to be used for meetings like this. Like anything that's not someone's voice, they assume you don't want to hear in the background. So it's doing all sorts of algorithmic stuff to try and lower your cat screeching, lower the fan that's like running in the background or whatnot. And we don't want it to do that, because the reason is, once we start playing music or audio or like things that aren't a voice, there's probably like machine learning to like try and like amplify the voice and cut other things out. We want to turn that off because we don't want to be playing something and then Zoom to be like artificially trying to lower it or suppress it. We want the original audio. And the way to do that is under Music and Professional Audio, select Show in Meeting option to turn on original sound. And you can actually use it. This option automatically disables Zoom noise suppression, removes high-pass filtering, and removes automatic gain control. So just like to make that more simple language, automatic gain control means automatic volume adjustment. And a high-pass filter is you're at a high-pass or low-pass. A high pass means only higher frequencies pass through and it cuts out lower frequencies. But if we were playing something with a lot of bass to it, we wouldn't want that to be cut out. So once you turn that on, and next time you can turn stereo on. I guess I've never used this one, high fidelity music mode. Maybe that's a good one to explore. It says it uses more network bandwidth, so be careful with that. And you can turn it on here. So that's the original, turn on original sound. Now everything coming through shouldn't be suppressed and whatnot. The difficulty with this, there's two things. One is like you can't hear it. So the best way to test this is to find someone else in this class, and just once you get your kind of setups like all tested and whatnot, and you have an ideas of what you want to play, just jump on a Zoom call together and ask them, like, does this sound clean? Is it coming through all right when I have these settings? And that'll be the best way to confirm it. The other thing is, unfortunately, like once you turn on original sound, you'll probably hear a lot of stuff through your microphone that you didn't before. So if you did this whole microphone plus BlackHole thing, your voice is going to be a lot more raw. It's good. Your vocal like volume is gonna have. You might hear more static in the background. Like if you do have a fan in the background, you're basically turning off all the stuff that helps with that. Things that can be done to help that is like get a USB microphone or something that's not your laptop speaker. They usually have better sound quality. But that's just something to keep in mind. This is all just balanced stuff you have to work on. That is the only other thing to mention is there is something called I think it was called loopback. That's another option. BlackHole you only get, what you might be asking yourself, what if I want 16 virtual channels? What if I want to get into really complex routing? Like Ableton goes to here, this thing goes to here, this thing goes to here, and I have like a visual map of all those routings. BlackHole only gives you just the input and the output, like one thing in the background. Loopback is your best option for that. The only problem is about $100. But if this is something you're really getting into, you're really like an audio music nerd kind of person, then like that's really the best option for this. There's also something called Voicemeeter, which I put a link to on the syllabus in for Windows. I'm going to be really frank, Windows is total trash for any kind of audio routing stuff like this. There's so many different audio drivers for Windows, whereas Apple, because it's kind of a walled garden, it doesn't have that issue as much. I have not found good options for Windows. This Voicemeeter one, it works, but it's really clunky. You usually have to adjust all these settings. Like the interface is not intuitive. And I find I can't even record a tutorial because when I have it enabled, it breaks my recording software on my Windows computer. Like it just makes it crash all the time. So unfortunately, this one's going to be better suited for Apple products at the moment. And like if you want to get into the Windows stuff, like just virtual audio, there's things called like Jack and everything. It just you just have to like do a little more digging on your own. But it's the same concept of like virtual audio plugins, like inputs and outputs. You just like, there's no out of the box simple way to do it. All right, that's me talking long enough. I'll have some other videos exploring some other concepts, but for now, like I said, just try and set this up, try and wrap your head around it, jump on a Zoom call with someone and just ask them how it sounds, or even ask them to record it and send it to you so you can listen to how it sounds. And yeah, that's a way to add audio into your Zoom research performances. So have fun with that. I'll see you next week.